Greetings, travelers. Today is a really exciting one because I am going to be reviewing the Game Beauty Harbinger palette. This is just a beauty of a palette. It's the perfect Halloween color story. Now, I know Halloween is over, but there are enough tones in here that are reminiscent of fall that I think it's a pretty fantastic fall palette all around. It doesn't have to be just for Halloween. I was able to play around with it a little bit today, and you'll see in my tutorial. I was able to use every single one of these shades on my eyes today. I always love it when I can do that with a palette. It's always like a winning feature of a palette for me, that I can create a whole look with every single shade in the palette. Like, that's always a selling feature for me for any kind of a palette. But all of these shades are vastly different from one another. You can get unique different looks using any combination of these shades. Let me know below in the comments if you'd like to see a 3-look video, because I can go into this and try and come up with 3 distinct looks from one another to try and like show the versatility of this palette. For right now, I'm just gonna go with 1 because it's already past the time when this palette was released and it's not Halloween anymore, so I don't know how relevant it would be to make a 3 looks video. But I do have the 1 look today using every single one of these shades. It's the look that you see right here. So there are 10 shades in this palette. It's a mixture of mattes, metallics, and shimmers. They are super magical. Every single one of Game Beauty's palettes that I've tried so far have been very, very impressive. The mattes are super buttery, soft, and easy to blend out. They're super pigmented. That's the only thing about this palette I would say with like, in comparison to their previous palettes, is this one is a little bit easier to blend out, but not as pigmented. And because it's not as pigmented, I find it's a little bit easier to use. So if you're looking for something that is a little bit more user-friendly or beginner-friendly, I would recommend this one, because the shades, especially this purple and this black, they're not as like initially pigmented, and you'll see in the tutorial that it's not as initially pigmented as some of their other shades in their other palettes. So this one I find is quite user-friendly, and especially beginner-friendly if you don't want to go in with a whole bunch of color right away and you want to like take your time and really build it up. The only shimmer in here I feel like could be improved is the shade Lumine. It's not super shimmery. It's kind of like powdery, but not super shiny. Like, there's something about it I find is just chalky. That's basically what it feels like when I put it on, because I used it a little bit on my brow bone, and it like blended out nicely, and it was sheer and sparkly and nice, but it looked a little bit more like powdery chalk than anything else. And even when I swatched it on my arm, it wasn't super shimmery. I don't know if it's supposed to be a shimmer or just a metallic, because it didn't apply the same way that these 2 metallics in the corner did, Herald and Woe. It was a little bit different. It applied more like Phantom, which is this silvery gray, but it wasn't as shimmery as Phantom was. It was just kind of chalky. Like, that's the best way I can describe it, is it came on very, very chalky. But otherwise, the rest of the palette is fantastic. I loved all of the colors that I used. This color story is beautiful. This Abyss shade, I didn't use it too prominently in the look today, but in the swatch, like, you can really tell that this Abyss shade is the star of the show. I absolutely love these marbled shades that they include in their palettes. This one only has 1. Their other 2 palettes, I believe, have more of these marbled shades, but they really are just the star of the show. They're so beautiful and very dimensional, because the base tone, like that base brown mixed with those like sparkly white marble flecks, it just adds a crazy amount of dimension to the eyeshadow. And I'm just like really excited to use this in the future and make a look that has that shade a little bit more prominently featured in the look. So yes, this palette is so freaking beautiful. It swatches beautifully, it applies beautifully. I got everything that I wanted out of this palette that I was expecting. So yeah, I would 10 out of 10 recommend this. And it retails for $45 US. It is made in Italy. Game Beauty is based out of the US, but their eyeshadow palettes are all made in Italy. And the quality of this one is on par with the rest of their palettes. There's no glitters in here, which I love. This is just a beautiful, beautiful palette. Very well-rounded for the fall season, especially Halloween time. Yeah. It's just a really fantastic little palette. I love it. It's a little bit pricey for the amount of shades that you get, but they really are really high quality. So I think that it is worth it just because of the level of quality that you do get with these eyeshadows. But if you're interested in seeing my look using every single shade in this palette, then just continue watching. So first I'm gonna take the shade Lament on a big fluffy brush and just blend that all into the crease and kind of all over the eye really. It doesn't show up too strongly, but if I build it up you can kind of see it, but I kind of just want to put that all over the eye space. Then on that same big fluffy brush, I'm gonna take that same shade Lament and put it underneath my eye on the bottom lash line and really blend that outwards. Next, with a smaller blending brush, I'm taking the shade Devour and focusing that into the crease. With that same small fluffy brush, I'm gonna take that same shade Devour and focus it along the outer corner of my bottom lash line. Next, with the shade Doom, that deep dark black shade, on the same small fluffy brush, I'm focusing that in the outer corner of the lid space, and then blend that upwards into Devour. Then taking that same shade Doom on an angled liner brush, I'm focusing that in the outer corner of the bottom lash line. Then taking the small fluffy brush, I will blend that outwards and smoke it out into that shade Devour. Just to finish off with the mattes, I'm taking the shade Molten on a small pencil brush and patting that into the very inner corner of my eye. Moving into the shimmers, I'm taking the shade Woe and I'm patting that basically all along my lid space. Then with the shade Dawn, this beautiful purple topper shade, I'm patting that over top of Woe, where basically wherever you put Woe, you're gonna put Dawn. Then moving into the shade Abyss, I'm taking that on a small pencil brush and I'm patting that in the outer portion of my bottom lash line. I'm taking that same shade Abyss on the same brush just along my upper lid space, just along the lash line. It didn't honestly do too much, but I just wanted to use it as much as possible. Then taking the shade Herald, this deep cobalt blue, just on my finger, I'm taking that in the inner portion of my bottom lash line. Then with the shade Lumine, I'm taking that on a finger and placing that along my brow bone. I'm also going to take that shade Lumine in the center of my eyelid. This also didn't really do too much, but I wanted to see like what kind of brightness I could bring to the eye look just in the center. Finally, on a wet pencil brush, I'm taking the shade Phantom and I'm placing that along the crease and lining the crease on the inner portion of my eyelid. You really want that silver to pop, so don't worry about putting a few layers of that on. Then to blend that in with Molten a little bit, because I don't want that orange to get lost in the silver, I'm taking a little bit more on a pencil brush and I'm patting that over top of Phantom, just along the inner corner. We don't want to take that all the way up. And there you go. That is the look completed using the Game Beauty Harbinger palette. And there you go, that's the tutorial. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that this gave you some inspiration on how to use your Game Beauty Harbinger palette. Final thoughts, I really love this. Nothing I haven't already said. It's a fantastic palette. I love the color story. Perfect for the fall, perfect for Halloween. I can't wait to see what other looks I can create with this palette, because I do see a lot of different kinds of looks that can come out of this just with 10 shades. It's really impressive that a 10 shade palette can just be so versatile. Like really, really impressed with the versatility of this palette just from looking at it. It gives me the same kind of vibes that the ABH Jackie Aina palette did in terms of versatility. So excellent job, big thumbs up. Again, a bit pricey for what you get, but it is super high quality. So I'm not super miffed about that. Like I really think that you're paying for quality in this case. It really is just beautiful. It really is beautiful. And if you haven't tried Game Beauty's formula, I highly, highly suggest that you do. This one is for all of you grungy, dark babes out there. If you like really pastel-y light colors, then you should try their Fantasy palette. If you like really bright green, colorful palettes, then the Adventure is the one to go with. If you like something a little bit more neutral, then do their Victory palette. But this one is for all of the grungy, dark, Halloween babes out there. If you are that kind of person, you will love this palette. Those are basically my final thoughts. I appreciate everything Game Beauty does. I am a big fan. As a game designer, I am a big fan. I always appreciate when my day job and my hobbies come head to head in something beautiful like this. So I'm very happy to see that there is a makeup brand that is specializing in video game themed makeup. But yeah, those are all of my thoughts surrounding the Game Beauty Harbinger palette. I really think that it's worth it. I'm very impressed with what I did using this palette, and I can't wait to play with it in the future. Let me know what you think of the palette, if you're gonna be picking it up, if you've already picked it up and you love it or you hate it, or whatever thoughts you might have around it. Please let me know in the comments below. I really wanna know. Let me know also in the comments if you wanna see a 3 looks video, because I can do that if you really, really want me to, if you need some more inspiration. For now, I just have the 1 tutorial and that's just kinda gonna be it. But if there is a demand for it, I will make it. Thank you very much for hanging out with me today. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.